Max came to with a stifled gasp. Her head was swimming and her cramped body was bound to a steel chair in the dark room. Outside, muffled by the reinforced steel, concrete and surrounding soil of the Prescott family bunker, the howling winds rose in intensity. The full brunt of the storm would be bearing down on Arcadia Bay any time now, but it hardly mattered. Chloe's dead, Max thought mournfully, tears trickling down her sedative-numbed cheeks. God, I'm so sorry, Chloe, Max sobbed, her voice barely a whisper. From the desk nearby came the clinking of equipment. A smartly dressed figure, his back facing Max, loaded a syringe with a clear liquid. Max's thoughts were gradually coalescing out of the drug fog, and her face contorted in grief and betrayal when she remembered who was behind all this depravity. Please, Max begged. Jefferson turned and slowly approached her, syringe in hand. Gone was his hip breeziness. His features seemed sharper, harsher, and his eyes carried the cold glint of a predator regarding its prey. Don't do this, Max pleaded. Max began to panic as her captor drew closer. She struggled against her restraints and directed a couple of feeble kicks in Mr. Jefferson's direction. I'm awake. I can move. There has to be a way out of this, Max thought frantically. She squeezed her eyes shut in terror. She concentrated hard. Mr. Jefferson swabbed Max's forearm. Max found something within herself. Yes! Yes! My rewind is back! She cheered internally. Just before the needle could prick her forearm, Max felt the standard lurch in her stomach as time rewound around her. Fireworks detonated under her eyelids, and her nose began to bleed. She felt nauseous, and her head felt like it was about to explode, but at the same time relief coursed through her. She opened her eyes and saw the backtracking avatar of Mr. Jefferson as he zipped through the room, turning off the lights, losing interest in his expensive camera, regurgitating and bottling a glass of whiskey, donning his jacket and, most surreally, untying and picking up a ghost image of Max herself, then leaving through the vault door. On the verge of blacking out, Max ceased the rewind. She was now alone in a quite literal dark room, the rumblings outside slightly lower.
What the hell? Where did she go?
She heard Mr. Jefferson exclaim from the other side of the vault door. Max tugged at her still-fastened restraints. Oh shit, she muttered anxiously. The restraints weren't reversed in the rewind, she realized. They must have been touching her too closely or for too long to be affected by the rewind.
Max?
Mr. Jefferson called out, confused.
Max?
With a decisive squeezing of her restraints, Max rewound again, which now caused just a dull ache in her head. But still the restraints remained tight around her wrists, even as everything else reversed around her. She stopped. Damn! Her first rewind basically overwrote Mr. Jefferson's act of tying up, so she couldn't rewind the restraints away. Max sighed. She'd need help.
What the hell? Where did she go?
Mr. Jefferson said again from behind the vault door, or rather, for the first time, as Max was in the past. In here, she responded. There was an awkward silence, then 3 beeping button presses. The vault door opened and Mr. Jefferson walked in with a look of perplexed concern, holding his pistol. He and Max locked eyes. She mustered up an expression of determination.
How did you get there?
Mr. Jefferson demanded flatly. I have powers. Max gave a wry smile. I know everything, you sick psycho. This place, Kate, Nathan, Rachel. She tried shrugging in her bound state and settled for craning her neck. But I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Mr. Jefferson took a step back. Untie me, and I'll tell you everything, Max requested, firm yet almost conversational. Mr. Jefferson frowned, unsure. I won't try anything, Max assured him, eyeing his gun. After a long moment, Mr. Jefferson walked up to Max and slowly untied her. Max stood up. Thanks, she remarked, rubbing her wrists. I'll show you. She rewound again. Out of the chair and fully dissociated from the restraints, she was free. She thought of taking a swing at Mr. Jefferson, but objects and people were mostly incorporeal during rewinds, and besides, he had already surged out of the room by the time she had that impulse. Max halted the rewind.
What the hell? Where did she go?
Mr. Jefferson said, for the first time. Max tiptoed to the desk, her eyes scanning around for a weapon. She settled for the whiskey bottle. She then crept up to the entrance and stood beside the vault door, holding the bottle above her head. "I'm in here," she croaked. She projected her voice quietly and weakly to make it seem like she was still tied up at the other side of the room. An uncertain silence. Button presses. The vault door opened and Mr. Jefferson entered the dark room, looking reserved, gun in hand. Max brought the bottle down on Mr. Jefferson's head with a mighty smash. He fell to the floor, unconscious. His scalp was split at the point of impact, blood mingling with the puddle of liquor and glass around him. Panting, suddenly exhausted, Max inspected her former captor. She pocketed the gun from his limp hand. He was still breathing. Thinking fast, Max took the restraints from the chair and bound Mr. Jefferson's wrists together. Done, Max concluded. Now, she decided, she had to find Warren and procure his selfie from the night of the Vortex Club party. Resolve burned in her belly and animated her movements as she left the dark room. She would save Chloe, whatever it took.